So, couldn't it just be a process of manifestation though in the
What do
3D?
you
I mean,
mean?
what following your highest and best timelines or at least experiencing it in the 4D, doesn't that just manifest itself into the 3D by just simply thinking or knowing that that truth is
It
there?
can,
Does
but
but
there are different understandings of manifestation. I I often tell people that I don't manifest anymore. I don't. I literally just allow. I allow spirit to push things or move energy through my vessel, whatever understandings, and allow it to have me take actions. But there was a time where I did actively manifest, and I would have things come to pass in a quick understanding. Where I am in my journey now is less about manifesting so much. It's not to say those things aren't happening, but I'm allowing spirit or trusting whatever spirit has planned for me, almost letting it be. Like, I know there may be certain things that are meant to come to pass, but I'm letting it, trusting in the ability that spirit has to reward and gift me certain things that it has planned for me, and that it may be bigger and grander than anything I would have ever manifested for myself. As a matter of fact, that's often what spirit has told me, and I'm like, I don't be doing too much, but you get what I'm saying. So, like, to some extent, manifesting list on a in my understanding, manifesting exist on a certain vibration. But then, in the highest timeline understandings, I can't say that there's no idea or no energy of what you want, but you're also giving some of that control to your creator and letting it see, just kind of like a seeing what comes. It's more of a surrendering to the divine will and the divine understanding of what spirit has planned for you. And when you do that, manifesting can be seen as more you still trying to control things or control your environment, whereas it's in the more highest levels of that, you're trusting what spirit has planned for you in that sense. And yes, again, it can evolve some manifesting, but not in the way that is normal. There's some things sometimes where I say things and I'm like, why did I say that? And I know that it's an understanding, because speaking, you manifest when you speak, you manifest when you think, all of those things. You take actions and their manifestations. And some of these things happen, and I feel like it was less me and more spirit moving through me, because it knows that this is what's necessary. It actively coming through my vessel may be what's necessary to make certain things come to pass. So I don't do this understanding of like where I'm focused so heavily on I must manifest this way. I take these actions or allow spirit to move through me in a specific way. And I also trust whatever understanding that spirit has planned and let it carry some of that.
so but you wouldn't say that's not moving in the 3D. You're saying that you act in the 3D according to call messages that
Yeah.
you get.
In some sense, yeah. And sometimes I may take actions that I don't necessarily completely seem altogether clear to me. It's just me trusting this understanding is necessary because spirit told me it is. And, at the end of the day, it turns out, okay, it was necessary. And I accept that as what it is. Some of the highest timelines of energy, they can require you to trust and in the fact that you don't know everything, but there is something higher than you that does. And it's not wanting to have you carry the weight of trying to know everything.
Mhm. Well, I think I mean, I think I would like to think, at least for me, that's where everybody would want to be.
You said you'd like to think for you that everybody would want to be in a state of not accepting that they don't know everything, you mean?
Well, and having that much trust, knowing that it would, in my head, lead you to to what it is that you want. If you're in that,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like complete surrender. But I think my fear is that, like, well, how do I know what I'm supposed to do? And I need to be told it's like, so that's where
Yeah,
I go back and forth.
a lot of people feel that way. There's a lot of people that a lot of people don't necessarily um, have an easy time trusting themselves on what they should do and how they should move. And,
Mhm.
again, some of this can be about the way that you were raised or brought up, and the things that you don't live in a vacuum, or you don't grow up in a vacuum. Your anxieties about trusting you often come from your experience and what you've collected over time, and that's why, in some sense, when you see children, they don't you have to teach them to ask permission. You have to teach them to be a certain way. They often are this raw, not always, but often they are in this raw energy of just like, um I'm just doing what feels right intuitively to me. And
Mhm.
their energy is molded somewhat out of that. And I'm not going to say that's all a bad thing. You're not just necessarily meant to be fully in this 4D, 5D realm understanding and not have any of that 3D grounding, but it is about grounding and balance. However, over time, you gain so much collected 3D understanding that can make it harder for you to just take your own action and go your own way and move how you truly want to move for yourself from a soul place, that you may have to shake some of those things off, to get to what you want for yourself, to get to that best and highest timeline for yourself.
And you think it's just as simple as just asking for guidance and trusting that it will come if you're willingly asking?
Um, I can't say if it's just that simple. It has, in some sense, been that simple for me, and not always. Like, even when I say it's been that simple for me, there have been parts of my journey where I didn't always get answers right away, you know, and it's because, in my understanding, that there were things that needed to take place and things that I had to give a chance to happen for those other understandings to come to me. And also, I think that it was also that I needed to release certain things. The hardest part of the journey, I think, is when you feel like you want so many words and so much communication, when all you may really need at that time is for certain things to be released from you and to kind of be still. I remember there was a point in my journey where I was like, because again, this energy that I'm speaking of, it does have a name. It is called the void. And I felt like I wasn't receiving any understanding or any messages in that sense, or any communication, or whatever the case may be. And I was having conversations with spirit and feeling like I wasn't really getting any answers. And I was kind of, frustrated with it. And then I got this one sign consistently that just kept coming back and saying, just be, like, just be. And, that wasn't necessarily my favorite thing at that time, but I accepted that, some of this was about me needing to allow my soul a chance to process, release, and realign itself, in order to be ready to receive certain understandings. Because maybe there's a process of you kind of like releasing old energy from yourself that requires you just be still and let that happen, versus before you're ready to add other things to you. Before you're ready to integrate other truths. Maybe imagine there's a puzzle, your body is a puzzle, and there's a puzzle piece that you have in place here that it needs to be removed to make a space for this new puzzle piece to be added and exist. And that process can take some time, to happen. And in that time, it's not necessarily, you may want it to be words, you may want it to be some form of communication, but it's really you just needing to wait for this understanding to be removed completely so this new piece can be added. And then the understanding will come and flow after that. Hey, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have a question you would like to ask or would like the opportunity to receive a one-on-one session, please check out the links in this video's description to sign up for a free session or submit a question.